it, but Meet and WebEx are about the same.
Yeah. Mr. Minna, how are you?
Are you finding your share of ice cream?
I am. I'm always on the lookout for moose tracks.
There you go. I'll have to remember that. I'll have to go up to Cook's Dairy Farm and get some dry ice and deliver it to you one day.
I would not be opposed to that.
Hello, folks.
How are you,
Hello,
Mr. Minna?
Not
Looks
bad.
like you're having trouble connecting there, Willie.
Yeah, you know what? The code, the first time I went in, the code that I typed in for the meeting didn't match. It says, I'm sorry, that meeting doesn't exist. So I said, we'll start all over again.
Yeah.
Hey, Gary, did you see your email?
Yeah, I just replied to it.
Gary?
Yes.
Okay. No, you don't have to reply. Okay.
So, but in short,
I'll look.
I can just speak to it if you'd rather.
Yeah, I'll ask you. And then how many total years is that going to be?
6 total, up to 6.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Wow.
2 3-year. It's a 3-year term, and they can ask for a second 3 years.
What else?
Really?
I didn't bring up dip sauce because everybody had soy sauce.
This is where I wish I didn't have any hair. Holy cow.
Mr. Gordon,
How are you?
good.
Oh, look at that.
Looks like you're relaxing,
From the
Mr.
comfort
Gordon.
of his home.
This is we're up at Sage Lake,
Oh, okay.
so
Got good Wi-Fi up there?
I had it installed.
Mom, are you cooking the
So
rice?
So
Got any neighbors up there? Or are they all pretty lonely?
there's a few.
Until
There's-
about 7
there's
at
some-
night.
Yeah, there's a few year-rounders up this way, but it's pretty quiet.
She's good. She walked out to the hallway. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Everybody take a deep breath. Do some meditation first. All right. So we are going to call the meeting to order, the regular meeting of the Board of Education, Thursday, May 7th. Start time for you, Mr. Mena, is 7:18. And I would like to welcome everybody.
15? 18? 18, okay.
7:18, unfortunately. I'm tardy, even though I wasn't tardy. I'm just gonna welcome everybody to the meeting. This is our first technical difficulty in several months, so I think we're allotted that one time. It'll never happen again. Mr. Mena, if I can get a roll call vote, and I know that Mr. Smith and Mrs. Murphy are working with Sheila to get their technical difficulty worked out.
Okay, Trustee Cook?
Here.
Trustee Hood?
Here.
Trustee Mena here. Trustee Murphy is still working her way in, right?
Yes.
Trustee Roney? Trustee
Here.
Ruskin?
Here.
And
Okay.
Trustee Smith also is working his way in as well, right?
Yes. Sounds great.
All right.
Okay. We're going to move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. with liberty and
Indivisible,
justice for
liberty.
all. If I can get an approval of the agenda for this evening?
I move we adopt the agenda as presented.
Support.
Recommended by Mr. Cook and supported by Mr. Mena. Roll call, Mr. Mena?
Trustee Cook?
Yes.
Trustee Hood?
Yeah.
Trustee Mena? Yes. Trustee Murphy, I see here now. This is agenda. Okay, good. Trustee Roney?
Yes.
Trustee Ruskin?
Yes.
And I don't see Trustee Smith yet, right? Okay,
Mrs. Holly was reaching out to him.
Thank you.
okay.
Okay, so we will move on to comments from the audience related to agenda items. We have an opportunity for anyone in the community to fill out the form. Dr. Matthews, did we receive any tonight?
There are no comments, Dr. Ruskin.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have the consent items. On the consent agenda this evening, we have the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting minutes of April 16th and the work session meeting minutes of April 16th. So if I can get a motion?
I move that the Novi Community School District Board of Ed approve the consent items as presented.
Support.
Support.
Recommended by Mrs. Roney and supported by Mr. Cook. Mr. Mena, if we can get a roll call vote?
Trustee Cook?
Yes.
Trustee Hood?
Yeah.
Trustee Mena, yes. Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Roney?
Yes.
Trustee Ruskin?
Yes?
Okay, and we'll keep looking for Mr. Smith here. Okay.
Thank you. Motion carries 6-0. We have 2 action items on our agenda this evening. Our first one is the personnel report. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin, and I will turn to Dr. Kinzer to introduce the personnel report.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. This evening, we have 2 resignations. They are Jill Minnick, Assistant Superintendent of Business and Operations, and Carol Rothstein, Math Teacher at Novi High School. We have 1 retirement, Stacy Schaefer, Spanish Teacher at Novi High School, and we have 3 leaves of absence, Christy Buttermore, ESL Teacher at Novi High School. This is a year 2 personal leave of absence. Chandra Matafari, health teacher, Novi High School. This is an extension of her association office leave of absence. And Mandy Pass, Title I Family Liaison at Village Oaks. This is a year 2 person leave of absence.
Thank you, Dr. Kinzer. If I can have a motion for recommendation.
Move to approve the personnel
I'll move.
report as presented.
All right, moved by Mrs. Murphy. It looks like supported by Mr. Mena.
Yep, that'll work.
Any discussion?
I'd like to make a comment, maybe not so much of a discussion, but I'm certainly going to miss Ms. Minnick. I know probably you guys might miss her more at the office there, but certainly she's been a great asset to our district. She has been meticulous and really, I think, very good. I'm not a finance person. This is the first time I've really served on the finance committee with her, and just the way she was able to walk us through things and her openness to different ideas and suggestions. I know she's worked well with all of our contractors, and she's just really going to be missed. So I wish her well, but yeah, I wish she'd stay. There.
Thank you, Trustee.
Mrs. Hood?
Hi, I wanted to really say the same things that Mrs. Murphy said. I am obviously very disappointed that when we heard that Mrs. Minnick was leaving us. I do wish her well. I was disappointed when Mr. Barr left that position, and I thought, well, it'd be really hard to fill his shoes, but Ms. Minnick did a wonderful job stepping in and hit our ground running and really didn't miss a beat. So I'm sure we will be able to replace her with someone who is also wonderful, but I wish her well, and I hope she gets to unravel a lot of things in Ann Arbor.
Anything else? I would just also like to reiterate that, Jill, you've been such a pleasure to work with. You're so professional, and we really, really have enjoyed our time with you. You will be really, truly missed here in Novi, and we wish you only the best in your professional life. And we hope you will keep in touch with us.
Well, thank you so very much.
Okay. So, Mr. Mena, we are ready for a roll call vote on the personnel report, please.
Trustee Cook,
Yes.
Trustee Hood,
Yes.
Trustee Mena, yes. Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
Trustee Roney,
Yes.
Trustee Ruskin,
Yes.
and still no Mr. Smith. Okay.
Mr.
6-0.
Smith is on Sheila's phone next to me. So he is here, and he does give us an affirmative.
Oh, we'll
Mr.
put him
Mena.
down as a yes then, that Miss Minnick can leave if she'd like. All right, so make a unanimously, we're letting you go reluctantly. All right, as well as the others.
Yes, we have lots going on here. I have a phone and a computer and an iPad, so hopefully I can continue to manage this. Welcome, Mr.
Okay.
Smith. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the 2020-2021 NEA calendar. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. And I, again, will turn to Dr. Kinzer, who was instrumental in working with the Novi Education Association to develop this calendar. Dr. Kinzer.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. So I want to extend my thanks to Heather Burnside and Kim Osmondson, Matt Burry, represented the teachers. We sat down several times and worked through a calendar. And there are a few differences, significant differences for the better in this calendar that I just want to highlight quickly. We are taking advantage of some legal changes that will allow us to do professional development for teachers on school days counted as instructional time, but when students are not present. And we have 6 professional development days throughout the year. 4 of them are during the school year. Actually, we have 7, but only 6 count as instructional hours. 3 are the traditional days during Impact Week prior to the first day of school. So those 4 days, there's one on October 9th, one on November 3rd, one on February 16th, and one on March 8th. I would like to note that it's been a significant issue for us in the past several years with the number of guest teachers that we've had to have in the district because we have teachers out doing professional development. The PD is critically important to our teachers and to student learning, but the impact of so many guest teachers was significant and profound. So this will alleviate that. Will also certainly be a significant savings in substitute teacher costs. So those are the main differences in the calendar. Otherwise, the other piece I would note is that the Oakland Schools Common Calendar has placed spring break 1 week earlier. And we are following the Oakland Schools Common Calendar. So spring break of 2021 will be a week earlier than previous years. And that was primarily done to provide our high school students with some time back in session prior to testing. That second week in April is the SAT and a number of other tests for our high school students. So that's a change as well. And I certainly would entertain any questions you have.
Thank you, Dr. Kinzer, for that thorough explanation. Before we do any comments or questions, can I get a recommendation for the calendar? I recommend that the Novi.
Sorry, go ahead, Marianne.
That the Novi Community School Board of Ed adopt the 2020-21 NEA calendar.
Support.
Okay. Recommended by Mrs. Roney, supported by Mrs. Murphy. Any questions or comments for Dr. Kinzer? Mr. Mena?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Kinder, for that. You answered the question I was going to ask you. It was hard for me to see, looking at the calendar, what was different than what was originally proposed. But I think you laid that out pretty clearly, and it looks like all of the changes seem to be for the better. I guess we don't always know for sure until maybe parents get an opportunity to really look at these things, and then maybe we get to hear things that concerns that we hadn't considered earlier. But at face value right now, I think it looks great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mena. Any other comments or questions from the board? Mrs. Murphy?
Yeah, I'll just say, Gary, thank you so, Dr. Kinzer, for working so diligently and with Heather with the new, obviously some of the new legislative things that we're able to do, and the importance. I was reading an article about, keeping teachers in classrooms and how important that is. So I really appreciate that this hopefully will help us to do that a little more consistently and still get the teachers the professional development that we know that they need to improve their craft and improve the outcome for our students. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Murphy.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Hearing and seeing none, I will ask Mr. Mena for a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Cook?
Yes.
Trustee Hood?
Yes.
Trustee Mena, yes. Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Roney?
Yes.
Trustee Ruskin?
Yes.
And Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. Okay.
All right.
Next, we have on the agenda quite a few informational and discussion pieces. We will start off with the Oakland Schools Budget Resolution. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin, and I will turn to Ms. Minnick, who will kind of introduce this yearly topic for us.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. For the Michigan Revised School Code, Section 380.624, subsection 2, the Oakland Schools annual budget must be presented to Oakland County's 28 school districts by May 1st of each year. Oakland Schools distributed 3 sets of the fiscal year 2021 proposed budget documents, a set for the superintendent, business manager, and board treasurer, Kathy Hood. Per that same section, the following actions are required by the district for compliance. Number 1, review the intermediate school district's general education fund operating budget. Number 2, not later than June 1st, adopt a board resolution expressing support for or disapproval of the proposed budget. And 3, submit to the ISD's Board of Education any specific objections and proposed changes to said budget. Per section 624, only the general operating fund budget requires a board resolution. However, the ISD has provided all of their draft budgets, including special education, career-focused education, special revenue cooperative activities, debt service, capital projects, enterprise and internal service, and grant fund budgets. While not a statutory requirement, the Oakland Schools Board of Education held a remote designates meeting on Wednesday, April 28th at 6 p.m., providing local board designates and district administrative staff an opportunity to hear a presentation on the budget and ask questions prior to finalizing a board resolution on or before June 1st. 2 resolutions are in your materials this evening, one supporting the ISD budget and one disapproving it. Also in your materials, you'll find a transmittal letter from Dr. Wanda Cook Robinson, Superintendent of Oakland Schools, the full budget document, and a budget highlight sheet. These are presented to the board tonight for discussion and information with adoption of one of the resolutions at the May 21st board meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Minnick. Does anyone in the of the board have any questions, concerns, anything that Mrs. Minnick can answer for us potentially? Mrs. Hood, if you have any comments, I know as the treasurer, you probably have read through this thoroughly for us.
Well, as thorough as I could, yeah. And Ms. Minnick and I were on the call with Superintendent Cook Robinson and her team. What is, I guess, I mean, Oakland Schools budget is pretty open and understandable, and there's not a lot of volatility to it. And I think that bodes well for that organization in this COVID crisis, in that their funding stream is much more consistent and reliable than the school aid fund. So Oakland Schools gets most of its funding from what you mentioned, property taxes and some grant funding, and then some local investment revenue, things like that. So they don't have the ups and downs. Jill sent out or included in the packet tonight her overview, and it does include in here a 1% pay increase, but on the call, and Jill, maybe you can explain it better than I can in terms of updates, but on the call with the team, the Oakland Schools team, they did say that they were freezing any of that. Any increases would be frozen. And I don't know if that means that they give us an updated budget. Jill, maybe you can speak to that.
Yes, and I apologize. I should have mentioned this in my introductory comments. The Oakland Schools acknowledges that this budget was developed in January and February in order to disseminate it to all of the 28 districts in order to have it reviewed and approved in accordance with the statutory timelines. They acknowledged, too, that they completed this budget before the COVID-19 pandemic hit and we closed schools. So they acknowledged as well that there will be an amendment to this budget. It's likely that most of their revenue and expenditure assumptions will change. So they did ask us to make you aware that there will likely be an amendment forthcoming.
Okay. Do you know, Jill, if we'll receive that before we need to vote at our 21 meeting, May 21st, or will it be after the approval takes place?
It's going to be after May 1st. My understanding is that they too are waiting for state funding proposals and to understand exactly what will be happening with school funding.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Any other questions or comments? Certainly, if something comes up, go ahead, Mrs. Murphy.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to say it honestly, though, doesn't really matter, I think, whether or not we approve or disapprove. At least from previous history, this is not something that, while we're required to do it in order for it to move forward, oh, well, not even in order to, we're required to do it, but we're not required to do it in order for it to move forward as a budget. So, you know, certainly if we have concerns, we can express those to open schools, but whether or not we do this as an approval and vote it through, it doesn't really change whether or not they do it. Is that still correct?
Yes, it is. Their board can take action one way or the other, regardless of the 28 school boards' ratification or disapproval. But I think they will take into consideration the comments and the number of districts that approve or disapprove the budget. But technically, you are correct. They can move forward.
So
corrections.
Right, but we could approve it with comments as well if that's a concern. That if the freezes are a concern that have not been addressed at that point, I guess would be something we could do. Correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so if there are no more comments, I would just suggest that any questions that you may have after tonight's meeting in this regard, or comments or anything that you would like the board to consider, or you need anything else answered, to please forward those to Mrs. Minnick and Dr. Matthews. Okay, I see some heads nodding and no comments. So if it's okay, we will move on to Chartwell's contract renewal. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. And this evening, we bring this to the board. This is our annual renewal, and I will turn to Ms. Minnick to explain the details.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. At the June 2nd, 2016 Board of Education meeting, Chartwell's was approved to continue to serve as the district's food service management company for the 2016-2017 school year. The district has the option to renew the contract annually for up to an additional 4 years, which requires annual approval by the board. The district has renewed the contract for each year since, so a renewal for the 2021 school year would be the 4th renewal. The Michigan Department of Education is also required to approve the renewal before being presented to the Board of Education. We did receive that MDE approval on April 24th. District administration has been extremely satisfied with the work performed by Chartwell's and specifically by Aval Gazzarato, our food and nutrition director. Chartwell's and the district administration have agreed to a $300,000 financial guarantee, again for the 2021 school year. Included in your materials this evening is a board update on Chartwell's highlights and the renewal documents. With us this evening is Aval Gazzarato, our food and nutrition director, and also Ann Smith, district manager with Chartwell's. They'd be happy to review the highlights with you and answer any questions you may have. The food service management contract renewal is being presented to the board this evening for information and discussion, and will be recommended for approval at the May 21st board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Minnick. So if any of the board members have any questions or concerns for Eval or Ann Smith, please just raise your hand. I would like to say personally, we appreciate the things you have done in some unusual circumstances that have presented to us over the last, 8 or so weeks, and also in the opportunity to partner with the Novi Public Library and our adult transition program in that great collaborative program that we have going on over there when it can reopen.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Dr. Matthews or Sheila, would you be able to show the highlight sheet at all? I don't know if that's possible this evening or not.
Let me see if I can.
And in the meantime, while Dr. Matthews is working through that, Mr. Smith would like to make a comment. I will put him as close to my microphone as we can get. So go ahead, Mr. Smith.
Thank you. I just want to share with my peers that I'll be supporting this. Over the last couple of years, I've been just blown away by the level of commitment that Ms. Gazzarato and her team has demonstrated and shown to our school district, highlighted by, as you pointed out, the work with the coffee shop and the library. So I think that we're really blessed to have this team supporting our kids in our schools. And I did look through the highlights, and I'll be supporting this.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Can you see the highlights now or not?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I just say real quickly, I know, Vol, that last year you said that one of your goals was to improve or increase the breakfast participation. And it looks like you guys have done a great job of doing that. Actually, it looks like everything. You've had great participation or great increases in the service, which is awesome. And certainly I would echo the comments about the Starbucks at the library. It's a great collaboration with our city, and it's certainly been a blessing to me on a semi-regular basis. So I know it's a great thing for our district to be able to collaborate with you guys in that, and certainly an opportunity for our students, which is really what's most important. But feeding our kids well is also critical, and I love the Mood Boost program and some of the other things that you've done to really step up your game. So thank you, and I'll certainly be supporting it as well.
Thank you.
Aval or Ann, do you have comments that you'd like to highlight from the year in review?
No, we'll give a better, a more thorough update in the fall. We, had one scheduled for, this spring, but I had to, push it off, obviously. So I can't wait to show you all the different pictures and, things like that. We try to do as much on social media as we can. So if you are able to see any of those things. And I do want to highlight this past, it's not included in the counts for the unanticipated school closure, but this past Tuesday, we did have our largest number of students turn out to collect meals. So that number keeps growing each week, and we're happy to be meeting that need within the community at this time.
Great. Yeah, we look forward to being able to, give a robust presentation in the fall and highlighting the wonderful things that you have helped do in our district. And I think it's really just remarkable, the unanticipated school closure food service program, because I'm certain that we are not only meeting the needs of our currently enrolled students, but there are, I'm sure, many families within our Novi community who are benefiting from this program.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Thank you,
from
Yvonne,
any
her
board
team.
members? Yeah, I can't see everybody anymore, so excuse me for not calling on you. Oh, now I can. Miss.
I just wanted to thank Yvonne and her team for the excellent work that they're doing to serve our community at this time.
Dr. Weber has his hand up.
I see it now.
Yuval, thank you so much for your BTS or behind the scenes work on Feed the Need for the past 5 years. Your leadership meeting with us at the inception of that, your staff supporting that, and then the extension of it and the food insecurity that I know is deep and close to your heart and is really a passion of yours in supporting people. We are going to need you desperately, I think, this summer and in the coming months as people continue to struggle. What I hear from the parents I've spoken with who are in difficult situations is that while they appreciate the district giving them technology in Chromebooks and such, that they really haven't even been able to open those because their primary focus is securing food for their kids. And that once a week opportunity helps mitigate a lot of their struggles. So thank you to you and your crew. And it's been a pleasure working with you, and can't wait to see even more of what you're going to do for our community. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Weber. Okay. Any other questions, comments? All righty. Thanks again. So seeing none, we will move on to the 2020 site improvement projects. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. And again, I'll turn to Ms. Minnick.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. On April 24th, 2020, bids for site improvement projects scheduled for the summer of 2020 were opened and publicly read aloud. The 2020 Site Improvements Program includes the replacement of the west parking lot at the high school and various district-wide site improvements, including catch basin improvements, broken sidewalk replacements, and asphalt repairs. The district received 2 bids for this project, and analyzed and tabulated. Nagel Paving was the lowest responsive bidder with a base bid of $226,687.80. This work is within budget, and Plant Moran Cressa, the district's owner's representative, has developed an overall recommended budget for this project, which is also included in your materials this evening. On April 30th, the district, Soil Materials Engineers Incorporated, our civil engineer, and Plant Moran Cressa conducted successful post-bid interviews with Nagel Paving. Nagel Paving will be able to commence work on or about June 1st and be complete in approximately 4 weeks. It is recommended that the Board of Education award the 2020 Site Improvement Program to Nagel Paving of Novi, Michigan, in the amount of $226,687.80, funded from the 2019 Bond Capital Projects Fund and Sinking Fund. Attached are the letters of recommendation and bid tabulation from SME and Plant Moran Cressa. With us this evening is Keith Toro of SME, Senior Project Engineer, and he'd be happy to answer any questions you may have, along with Kevin Donnelly, Owner's Representative, and Mike Dragu, our Director of Maintenance and Operations, and Jacob McDermott, our Assistant Director of Operations and Maintenance, is with us this evening as well. The 2020 Site Improvement Program bid is presented and recommended to the board this evening for discussion and information. It will be recommended for action at the May 21st meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Minnick. So if any of the board members have any questions or concerns or comments, our guests are here with us tonight on our Zoom call. So please just wave at me and we will get your voices heard.
Kathy Hood's hand is up.
Okay, Mrs. Hood?
Yeah, just a quick question. So the west parking lot of the high school, is that just where the staff parks abutting Taft Road, or is it really the athletic parking lot, the big parking lot that runs on the side of the school?
That is
No, it's the.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, it is staff and students park there. It's primarily students.
That does not include the south student parking lot. That was new in 2017. So it's just the smaller west parking lot and the approach to it.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you.
Dr. Weber, is your hand up? No. Okay.
Anyone else? Okay. Looks like we have a quiet bunch here tonight. So we thank our guests for being here. We thank all the work that you've been doing to get these programs up and running. June 1st date sounds fantastic. And we look forward to moving these projects forward. So we will bring this back to our May 21st Board of Education meeting for a vote.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have the middle school athletic projects. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. And we are very excited about this project. And again, I will turn to Ms. Minnick.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. On the same day that we opened the bids for the site improvements, April 24th, 2020, we opened bids for the Novi Middle School athletic projects scheduled for the summer. And those were opened and publicly read aloud. It includes various improvements at the middle school, including track repairs, a new scoreboard and sound system, and selective bleacher repairs. The district received 2 bids for the track repairs, 4 bids for the scoreboard and sound system, and no bids for the selective bleacher repairs. On April 29th and 30th, Foresight Design, the district's athletic design consultant, conducted post-bid interviews with the apparent low bidders for the track repairs and the scoreboard sound systems. Successful post-bid reviews were conducted with Goddard Coatings for the track repairs and Daktronics for the scoreboard and sound systems. Goddard Coatings base bid is $9,800 and Daktronics base bid is $74,167.14. This work is within budget, and Plant Moran Cressa, District Rep, has developed the attached overall budget recommendation for this project. Selective bleacher repairs will simply be rebid. It is recommended that the Board of Education award the Novi Middle School athletics projects funded from the 2019 Bond Capital Projects Fund and Sinking Fund to Goddard Coatings of Pontiac, Michigan for track repairs in the amount of $9,800 and to Daktronics for scoreboard and sound systems in the amount of $74,167.14. Attached in your materials are the letters of recommendation and bid tabulation from Foresight Design and Plant Moran Cressa. With us this evening is Mike Sims, Project Manager with Foresight Design, and Mr. Brian Gordon, our Athletics Director. Both would be happy to answer any questions you may have, along with Kevin Donnelly, our District's Owners Rep. The middle school athletic projects bid is presented and recommended to the board this evening for information and discussion, and it will be recommended for action at the May 21st board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Minnick. I see Mr. Mena's hand up. Go ahead, Mr. Mena.
I do. Thank you. Yeah, question about this. So I don't know if we currently have any sort of sound system, Mr. Gordon, at the middle school. We certainly do have a scoreboard. My question is, there's no sort of press box, even a small box at the middle school where any of this equipment can reside. Is there any plans for adding something there?
Yeah, we are looking into doing something that where the person running the board will be sheltered along with the equipment that is necessary to operate the board. So, Mike, you want to talk a little bit about that, Sims?
Yeah, sure, Mr. Mena. We the way we kind of approach this is the recommended vendor. They have a lot of experience working with the district, and one that I know you're familiar working with. They have, when it comes to the outdoor sound components, they have two arrangements. In the sense that you have a kind of a fixed component sound rack that can get placed into a permanent bleacher structure or a building. And they also have a portable rack that is, weather type. Basically, it allows you to take that rack out to the bleachers, plug in, and operate your sound right there. So it's a temporary solution to a problem in knowing that the district has additional plans for the future to provide some sort of permanent press box structure at the middle school.
Right. And Willie, there is a sound system there. It's extremely archaic and non-functional. We putzed with it a couple of years back for the track meets and ended up with a bullhorn. So, we had an opportunity to upgrade this facility and the equipment that will be there for quite some time. And I like the fact that we're going with something that we have, which is Daktronics, which is the the manufacturer or brand of all of our boards across the entire district.
Okay, thank you.
Did Mr. Smith have his hand up?
Yes, please. To follow up on what Mr. Mena asked, would it make sense to do the portable system until we get or secure a bid to make the significant changes to the bleachers that would include a press box, for lack of a better word, is my first question. The second is it a revenue producer? So like when the Bobcats play there, do they pay us some money that could offset some of this expense?
Well, we do rent out that facility on occasion. We have the last probably 4 or 5 years, we've had the Bobcats at the high school on the turf. But we do on occasion get different groups that will want to use that track. We have AAU track programs over the course of the summer that will rent that out. Ideally with the board and the sound system, we have multiple middle school programs that use that. And when you have 225 middle school track kids running around in the spring, you need a pretty good sound system to get everybody's attention because you don't know where those kids are. So it just completes the facility. And certainly I think we will lean more towards the portable with the idea that down the road, that portable, I'm assuming can be installed in whatever existing structure we do install.
Well, I can attest that it's necessary, having had an 8th grader, just finish track there this past spring, and especially because he was trying to do shot put. He's outside the gate, so you could never hear him from over there. So I think it makes sense.
To kind of follow up what Brian had indicated, that yes, this portable rack unit, it's easy transferable into a permanent rack situation. So the district wouldn't be incurring further expense down the road should you build a permanent structure. There might be some very, very small things to kind of tweak within the press box structure, but it should be a very easy transition.
Thank you. Thanks for that clarification. I do have a quick question in regards to the bleacher repairs. If that goes back out to bid, like discussed, will that, if there is indeed an appropriate bid that falls in line with, the budgeting, will that be something that will be completed throughout the summer at the same time?
That is the expectation. I'm sorry, somebody else speaking. It is the expectation to have it complete within the 2020 year. Good.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, there's might be a little.
Any other board member questions or comments or concerns while we have our guests here to answer them? Okay.
Don't see anyone.
I don't either. Okay. So thank you for being here. Thank you for all the work you've put into this. I'm sure that our middle school students and coaches and our rental agreements with people outside of Novi Community School District will appreciate the facility update. So we will again be voting on this at our next board meeting on May 21st. So, and thanks Mr. Gordon for being here and Mr. Dragoo. Next, we have the secure entry. Next, we have the secure entry renovations and technology. Dr. Matthews?
Thank you. This is a very exciting project for us. That's the first of our secure entries that we will be doing. And again, I will turn to Ms. Minnick.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. Bid pack number 1, secure entry renovations technology, consists of electronic security components for the secure entry renovations scheduled for Deerfield Elementary, Parkview Elementary, and Novi Woods Elementary. If you'll recall, the board previously approved the construction portion of the secure entries. On April 23rd, 2020, 3 sealed bids were received and publicly opened for this project. In attendance were representatives from Novi Community School District, Integrated Design Solutions, the district technology consultant, Plant Moran Cressa, owner's rep, and other interested bidders. IDS conducted post-bid reviews with all 3 bidders. The low bidder's proposal was incomplete, and the second low bidder, Gamilaro Services Integration, completed a successful post-bid interview. Gamilaro Services Integration's proposal is $92,411.50 and is within budget. Attached in your materials are letters of recommendation and bid tabulation from IDS and Plant Moran Cressa. This project is part of the 2019 bond project and will commence in June with completion by late August. It is recommended that the Board of Education award bid pack number 1 project to Gamilaro Services Integration, the lowest qualified vendor, in the amount of $92,411.50 and be funded from the 2019 Bond Capital Projects Fund. With us this evening, we have a number of professionals. We have Matt McCarthy and Scott Smith of IDS. We have Anthony Lacurcio and Jeff Mazuritz, our technology directors with Novi Schools and Oakland Schools, and Kevin Donnelly, district owner rep, and Bill McCarthy of McCarthy and Smith, our construction management firm. They'd be happy to help answer any questions you may have. The Secure Entry Renovation Technology Project Award is presented for information tonight to the board, and it will be recommended for action at the May 21st board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Minnick. If there are any comments or questions, and please know just in general that our May 21st board meeting will also include a brief overview of the bond program in general. And then we will also be doing a work session. So there will be a lot more robust conversation outside of this secure entry renovations and technology. So any questions though in regards to this specific bid package? Mrs. Murphy?
Yeah, I just want to ask a quick question. I guess I'm kind of recalling previous bonds when we had technology packages on and getting a larger number of bids. So I'm just a little curious about why we might think that is that we're not getting quite the same number of bids for what we're doing, if it's just the amount of work that was potentially out there at that point in time. And also I appreciate the Gamilaro Services. I'm not familiar with them. Obviously, I'm not in the industry either, so I wouldn't expect to be. But I think that's also a new contractor for us. So maybe speak a little bit to the experience they have in other districts, because it looks like they have some in other districts. If somebody could maybe speak to that, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Murphy. For your first question for the number of bids. Yeah, certainly we do. There's certain types of bids we get fewer and some that we get more with. This one in particular, since Novi already has an existing security system and we're just going to be kind of extending it and adding on to it, there's more of a limited number of contractors that are specialties for the manufacturer that you have. So, that's why we had 3 on this one in particular. As far as GSI, rather than try to pronounce, but GSI, as we spoke with them, we don't have a huge amount of experience with them, but speaking with them and talking to references, they do understand the educational environment. They're demonstrated, a deep knowledge in the Honeywell system, which is a security system that Novi has. So we do feel comfortable making a recommendation for them.
Okay, thank you.
And if I could add, Mrs. Murphy, I have a lot of experience working with GSI. They've always been a good contractor in the past, and we've had good luck with them.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? Mrs. Hood, do I see you coming at the screen? No? She looks happy over there. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing it quiet in here, I would like to thank Mrs. Minnick for all your hard work and working with the team out there, and for all the guests here. I know that you've put in a lot of time and effort, and we are excited to have this on our next board agenda to adopt a resolution to get things started this summer on our 2019 bond package. Okay. Next on the agenda, we have comments from the audience. This does not need to be related to the agenda. It can be any comments from the audience that are in the purview of the Board of Education. So did we receive any other forms, Dr. Matthews?
We have not received any other comments.
Okay. Hearing it quiet, we will move on. We have committee report tonight, Capital Projects Committee. Mr. Mena?
Yeah, thank you. At our last meeting, we did discuss, we had a conversation around obviously the COVID-19 issue and how that might affect construction of the secure entryways. So we did have some discussions about making sure that we had a backup plan in place in case construction we'd start and then it would subsequently stop along the way. So, you know, I thank the folks on the team for, you know, certainly bringing that to our attention and letting us know they're really thinking about all of the different possibilities that are out there. We also talked about the procurement of the professional teams. And if we don't have it already, we should have all the contracts in place shortly. And I believe, let's see, the security consultant RFP has also been released. So those are the major topics that we discussed at the meeting. Kevin, did you want to add anything?
No, Lily, I think you recapped it well. You know, obviously we had a lengthy discussion about the upcoming board meeting at the end of the month, the working session that we're all going to be participating in, but you covered it well.
Thank you.
Thank you to both of you. Appreciate all your work. Okay, next up we have the superintendent's report. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. My report is brief this evening. I would just like to express my appreciation to Ms. Minnick for the work that she has done in our school district. She has been an exceptional assistant superintendent for business and operations, and she will be missed, and we wish her good luck as she transitions to Ann Arbor.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews.
Okay. Next, we have the administrative reports. Mrs. Minnick.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. I do have a couple updates for the board this evening. As you may or may not be aware, the district continues to receive concerns from parents and community members around pedestrian safety at 10 Mile and Novi Way. And I wanted to update you that you may be aware that our initial requests for enhanced pavement markings or other types of solutions to bring more attention to the pedestrian crosswalk there to our drivers was initially turned down, I suppose you could say. But since that time, most recently, I've worked closely with Cindy Valentine, our Director of Transportation, as well as Sheila Holly, to develop a request to the City of Novi and to the Road Commission of Oakland County to request once more an enhanced pavement marking be installed at that crosswalk for the pedestrians. And what an enhanced pavement marking is bright paint, bright reflective paint that is painted in the crosswalk area. By code, flashing lights and beacons are not allowed, but enhanced type of markings are allowed. And so at the most recent City of Novi Traffic Safety Committee meeting, which was just held recently, it was verbally announced that our request was approved. And the Road Commission does anticipate installment of those enhanced pavement markings yet this summer. So I was very pleased, and I want to thank the City of Novi and the Road Commission of Oakland County for this work. This is very important. I think it'll address many of our parents' concerns around safety. And I want to thank Cindy Valentine and Sheila Holly for working so hard to pull together some data and reports and build a solid case for a request for these enhancements. So thank you so very much. Speaking of traffic safety, I also want to let you know that the City of Novi, the City Council approved our district's request for a school speed zone at Wixom Road near Deerfield Elementary. They are currently in conversations around what type of signage or beacons or radar signs that will be installed. The district would be obligated to pay for anything beyond the standard signage, but in conversations with the district and with the city, I would encourage that we pay that additional cost in order to save lives and prevent injury. It's the nominal cost. It's anywhere between $5,000 to $8,000. And over time, I think, in my own opinion, I would recommend that that would be money well spent. Also, while we're speaking of the City of Novi, I met with City Engineer Jeff Hertzek this week and learned that the City of Novi is on schedule to meet criteria for grant award for the Safe Routes to Schools program in 2021. And that includes the infrastructure part of the grant. Things such as the construction of ADA ramps, sidewalk repairs, those kinds of things. So that's very good news. You'll recall that there is also a non-infrastructure element to the grant, and I don't have an update on that quite yet, but that is still in the works. That's the portion of the grant that might provide for things like bike racks and school bus trains and things like that. So I wanted to report that they are on track with that, and we will be hearing something on that end of the grant sometime soon as well. I also want to express appreciation for all of our district teachers during Teacher Appreciation Week. And I know that while I'm not a classroom educator myself, I have to imagine that this transition to online instruction has been challenging. So just to recognize all of them this week. And then finally, as you know, this is my last board meeting with Novi Schools. And I want to express that it has been my absolute pleasure to serve the students and families of Novi Schools and to serve and work alongside all of you on the Board of Education, Dr. Matthews, and the rest of Cabinet. I also sincerely hope that in some way my contributions may have enhanced the student outcome in the classrooms. And I want to thank you for every opportunity afforded me during my tenure here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Minnick, and thank you for circling back around about those safety, traffic safety concerns. I know several parents have reached out over the last year to Dr. Matthews and yourself and other board members, and it will be a delight to let them know that you have all worked very hard to make those safety features happen for our students, and we appreciate you and all the work that you've provided here in Novi again.
Thank you.
Dr. Kinzer?
Thank you. I would like to take this opportunity also to thank Ms. Minnick for her partnership for the last just over 2.5 years. I have great respect for Ms. Minnick's knowledge, skill, professionalism, integrity, the list goes on. She is an outstanding business leader, and I have absolutely no doubt that she will be equally successful in her new role in Ann Arbor. I want to let you know that we've already posted our Assistant Superintendent of Business and Operations position, numerous job sites throughout the state. We've already received some applications. I do expect we will receive applications from a number of highly qualified candidates, and we'll keep you posted as we work through our hiring process. I'd also like to echo Ms. Minnick's comments about Teacher Appreciation Week. It has been a pleasure for me to observe the efforts of our teachers in providing really high quality online instruction for students in Novi. They're doing a fantastic job and they are greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kinzer. Next, we have Dr. Weber.
Hey, good evening. So first and foremost, I'd like to express on behalf of the Office of Academics our gratitude for Ms. Minnick. I know in speaking with my team throughout the week, Darby Hoppenstedt, Melissa Matson, Jeff Dinkelman, Shaylee Patel, Adva Ringel, Stacy Theophilus, Jeff Maas, and actually Wanda Ciancio, who was with us for a bunch of years. all expressed profound sadness in the fact that Jill's leaving. And I think the reason why is important that I share with the board and the community. My office has the pleasure of working with Jill quite a bit because of what comes through the Office of Academics around teaching and learning and expenditures and so on, but it's way beyond money. You know, I think we think of dollars and cents and we think of people who work with that and we put them in a very narrow piece, but Jill's persistence, her precision, her predictability, and her passion were always present. And Jill, I'm going to kind of look at you a little bit. It's weird on the Zoom. You know, you and I didn't always see eye to eye on things, but I'd like to think that maybe you were the brakes and I was the gas on some of these things. And you made sure I didn't crash the car. And I made sure that I pushed you hard enough, though, to think of some things. An example of that would be our relationship with Kamau. If it weren't for Jill Minnick working with Melissa Matson, treating Melissa as an equal, with Maz jumping in, there's no way we deliver on the first of its kind program in North or South America. That's a direct impact for kids and a direct impact that can change lives down the road. I also had the pleasure of spending a small amount of time with her two daughters, Madeline and Valerie. You can tell a lot about a person by their kids. Last night I was on the phone with a colleague who teaches in Brighton, and we were talking, and I said, hey, do you have any kids named Minnick? And she said, Valerie! And I love that kid. So Jill, that's where it matters, right? And I also had the pleasure of meeting your husband, Kim, at a lacrosse game last year. Unfortunately, the team got smoked, but how cool was it to see your two daughters out on the field at the same time and you and Kim together laughing, enjoying yourself and banging the heck out of that cowbell. So that was pretty cool. I'm going to miss the heck out of you. I wish everyone in the district could know you the way I know you and the way that our team knows you. Your steadiness and your ability to ask questions that I sometimes didn't want you to ask helped us to have a predictability to go forward to provide opportunities for each of our kids that they deserve. So thank you for that. I'm gonna miss you. Teacher Appreciation Week is mentioned as well. Our teachers are absolutely getting after it in so many ways that again, I wish people could see. It was National Nurses Day as well. We have Kathy Ferris out there. And tomorrow is a school PR day. And we have George Sipple out there who's helping us tell our story. George was the gentleman who coined the Novi Together hashtag, and it's being used liberally throughout Novi, which is fine. But I'd like to give props to the guy who thought it up and is keeping us connected virtually in this time. So thanks a lot, Jill. Rock on. I'm going to come visit you sometime in Ann Arbor. Please don't say that you don't know me. That would hurt a lot. Like if I came and you said, I don't know this guy. And to the community and the board, thank you for you got it. Don't make me cry, Lauren. To the board, super supportive in this time. And I know our team that I just mentioned really appreciates it a lot as well from an academic standpoint. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Weber. We appreciate you. Okay, next we have board communication. Well, I know you're not always quiet. Okay.
Okay. I'll be quick. I love the Teacher Appreciation Week and seeing some of the things that teachers are doing online. They're posting pictures of. I saw a picture of I think it was the Orchard Hills gym teacher teaching the kids how to dance a Polish polka around his table outside so that they could see his feet. And it was in direct request to a parent that said, I think we need to see that because my kids don't know what you're talking about. And he immediately, pretty immediately responded and videotaped himself doing the dance. So I know they're kind of going above and beyond and really trying to reach kids where they're at and responding to parents in that way. So really kudos to all of our teachers for, thinking outside the box about how they can do things, for, being persistent, in trying to reach out to our kids. And, I know they're trying to manage their own households and teach their own children, many of them. So I just, it's unprecedented times and we're meeting them in unprecedented ways. So kudos to all our teachers and certainly to Mrs. Ferris, having been on the 8th grade field trip and watched how she managed the medical needs of 400 plus kids. Well, obviously not all 400 needed medical needs, but at different points in time, kids needed a lot of different things for her. And she goes above and beyond in her efforts to make sure that every kid's needs medically are met, and also some of them emotionally, which is also something she's very gifted at. So thanks to all. Keep up the good work. And thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Murphy. Any other, Mrs. Hood?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I went to, or I didn't go anywhere. I was on the Oakland Schools Government Relations Committee meeting last night, and I know we'll talk about this in our work session, so I won't go into a lot of detail, but certainly they are anticipating budget cuts next year and then this year, so we will prepare for that. And of course, that we might anticipate some relief from the federal government, but they're not getting a lot of commitment on that yet. So everyone's in the same boat in Michigan, so we will see. To echo our appreciation for teachers, last weekend I was outside the neighborhood, and we live in the Village Oaks footprint. So this is for Village Oaks. I got some feedback on Village Oaks in particular and Meadows, and our parents really are, they are very appreciative of the teachers' engagement and flexibility and just the learning that their kids are experiencing. So they're very grateful, and they understand that it really is it's a challenge for everybody. So maybe echoing Mrs. Murphy's words, but in particular for the Village Oaks teachers and Meadows, who I had feedback on. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hood. Mr. Mena?
Sure. Oh, God. I'm telling you, I can't wait till this is over. I can't wait till we get back to normal and we get around the table again and we have athletics and we have all sorts of great activities at the school. It's just, it's crazy. It certainly is a crazy time. So hopefully when the fall starts, everything will be back to normal. We can only hope. And the only other thing I really wanted to say was to you, Miss Minnick, again, thank you for everything that you did when you were here, while you were here at Novi. I do really think you did yourself proud here, and you indeed will be truly missed. Thank you for everything you did here.
Thank you, Mr. Mena. Mrs. Roney?
You're muted, Ms. Roney.
Sorry about that. Technology throws me off, you know.
No worries.
First, I want to give a shout out to our FIRST robotics team. I'm sure I don't know if you all caught it, but on Channel 7, they had a FIRST robotics where they were talking about people doing face mask. So we had two of our kids on, one that's printing the face mask, the little top there. And then I think it was either a 7th or an 8th grade girl who was sewing masks. So our kids are, you know, they're not just sitting around doing nothing, they're working. So that was very nice to see that on TV. Second, I'm so happy that we're moving forward on the secure entrances. You guys know that's near and dear to my heart. So I can't wait to see everything that's going to happen and how we're going to make this, you know, our schools a lot secure. And last but not least, in the Cranes, we have a Novi alum. I think he graduated in 2007. Audie, and I'm going to butcher his last name, Sahith, I think it is. He got in there for 20 in their 20s. I don't know if you can see, but pretty awesome to have one of our Novi alum in the paper there for Cranes. So that's all. I guess just again to echo everybody. So impressed with the teachers and everything they're doing. And then, of course, Jill, I will miss you dearly.
Thank you, Mrs. Roney.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from board members? Okay. Everyone else seems to be real quiet. So I just reiterate what everyone has said. We do miss sitting around the table and really just being near each other. Hopefully in the not too distant future, we will all be back together again. I think we don't realize how long it's truly been. So I appreciate all of you and all the work you're doing and the collaboration you're doing, whether you're joining the admin meetings on Monday morning, you're talking to your neighbors in the neighborhood and in the community and hearing their thoughts and their praises and their concerns and sharing those back. But we still have much, much work to be done. This is just the beginning. As we know, the financials are going to be challenging, and just keep at it and keep smiling and take time for yourselves. So I appreciate all of you. I again want to apologize for whoever's left on the call for the technology difficulties we had today. It is a first for many of us. We've all been on many Zoom calls and there was some kind of craziness. I think that it's sabotaged by Zoom. They're sick of all of us using them. They want us all to have accounts. And so they've created some barriers, I guess. Anyway, that's just my conspiracy theory for the night. So with that being said, we do have a work session on budgeting after this meeting. So we will take a 3-minute break. Oh, Mr. Smith, 5 minutes? Okay, Mr. Smith needs 5 minutes. Oh no, and now he's back to 3. We will take a 5-minute break and we will then get back to work. So if I can get a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Support.
Support.
Moved by Mr. Mena, and I heard Mr. Smith support next. Sorry, Mr. Cook. If we can get a roll call vote, Mr. Mena?
Trustee Cook. Trustee Cook.
Yep.
There we go.
Mute button not working.
Trustee Hood.
Yes.
Trustee Mena, yes. Trustee Murphy.
Yes.